throat, too. Hi, welcome to Mary Wieden You. So glad to have you along today. It's always a pleasure. We're going to talk about the 7th Ward in Jackson, Mississippi. What do you think about that, eh? We've got a couple of people running who are going to be on the show this week, and one is today, and that's Ron Aldridge. His name is familiar to you because he's done a lot of things, haven't you? Welcome to Mary Wieden You.
Been around a good while, Miss Mary.
You've
enjoyed being on your show. Thank you again.
Have you been on the show?
I have in the past, back when I was working for small business.
And you've had you've had incarnations, interesting ones.
Yes.
You've been in the legislature also.
Right.
You are an attorney, you're practicing that,
Yes.
and you've done a lot of community things.
A lot of community things, and been an advocate for business down at the Capitol for 36 years as well, in addition.
Wow.
Very successful at that, and established trust there over that period of time with whether it was Democrats in power or whether it was Republicans in power. It didn't matter because just spoke the truth, and that's what we should be doing.
One state. I'm looking for my readers. I think I left them in the green room. I don't know. Oh, wait, they might be here. I'm sorry. No, wait a minute. They're here.
There you
go. Oh, they're where they belong. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
That's an amazing thing.
But definitely involved in community service. Spent the last 6 years on the Ponder Business Improvement District Board, and we've gotten this in the last 3 years of it as board chairman. Still am that right now. And we've gotten to see every problem the city could throw at us.
Well,
the
thing that's fascinating about you is I want to say, you want to move for. I mean, you want to be the city council person. You want taking over for Virgie Lindsay.
Uh-huh.
That's the 7th Ward. And by the way, you have an opponent who'll be on this program on Friday.
Sure.
Is this is it a step forward, a step back, or a lateral move for you? What kind of a move is it?
Well, it's a move of the heart is what it is for me, Mary, because the last 3 years after being board chair and Fonder and seeing all the problems this city has, also the last 3 years of my life, I've been a part of an outreach ministry that's reached across all of the city called Bridging the Gap Outreach Ministries. Through that ministry, I've gotten to see the worst of this city. And to see the least of these and how bad it really is. And once your eyes have seen it, you can't forget it. And I call many of these areas the forgotten areas of Jackson because they truly have been forgotten. I love what we've done up in in our area of Fondren and Belhaven and Loho, the district, and now LaFleur's East is what they're doing. Those neighborhoods are coming together. But I also see neighborhoods all across this city coming together. The problem is the government hadn't come in and been the support it needed to be, and they need it desperately.
I don't know what in the world government's been doing. Okay, so the 7th Ward, we were talking about the boundaries. North boundary is city limits is, where is
Meadowbrook Road.
Oh, Meadowbrook Road. I can't even read my scribble here.
Yep.
Meadowbrook Road over to the river, and then you go down as far as city limits. Well, go down Terry Road, and that's about
Terry
city
Road
limits.
Gets you down to Byram.
Yep, yes, and then to the west, you've got...
it follows a trail. Once you're over around Meadowbrook, you go over to the railroad there. And then as you're coming down toward the downtown area, you move over toward Gallatin Street.
Are you in downtown in the 7th?
It is.
Oh,
it is.
Quite fascinating.
It's a unique district, you know.
Yes, but the thing that blew my mind was I was looking up the district line yesterday when I was getting ready for this interview, and the airport is in the 7th Ward.
It is.
Now, if people don't understand what that's all about, the history of the airport is that it is in Jackson, but Mary, it's in Rankin County. Yes, the facility itself and surrounding is in Rankin County. But Jackson bought up that property.
Sure did.
However many, 50, 60 years ago or something like that, before they built the airport, because Rankin Rankin County was dry.
Right.
Jackson was not. And so the city fathers and mothers wanted to have a place where you can get a drink when you're traveling. Of course, who doesn't want to get a drink when you're, that's what people do. And so that's why that's Jackson property.
Right.
And so that's in the 7th Ward.
It is.
So, and by the way,
nobody lives out there, of course, but so there's nobody,
that doesn't matter.
no doors to knock on.
You can get a drink if there's a bar in the airport, but I don't know. I haven't been to the airport. I hear it's not good. In 2016, there was a law passed by a number of legislators from Rankin County and from around to create a regional airport, kind of like a reservoir, but even more sophisticated, a regional airport. And it was passed by the legislature. It was signed into law by governor at the time, and but it's been challenged in the courts, and because people in Jackson thought that was discriminatory, and so Judge Carlton Reeves in his district recently tossed it out and said, "Come on, do your own fights. This is ridiculous. It's come before me so many times. Just settle it." But it's been kicked down to another court,
but I think it's making a turn out there. I know a good friend of mine, Warren Herring, is head of the board out there, commission, however they exactly
whatever they are,
whatever they're called. But anyway, they've made a turn and have really sprucing things up and trying to get things on the right track. And he's a good man.
Well, do you think should it be a regional facility? Do you think, because if you become a city council person, you would have to no doubt have some sort of say in it, even though it's all been said.
Right.
But still, I would think city council would eventually have a decision.
I think there definitely has to be a decision between the state and the city working together. And I think as we build back our good faith, and that's one of the reasons I'm running, is because we've got to establish trust back with our government officials, from the governor, lieutenant governor, speaker on down, as well as upward to our congressional delegation. I'm thankful that I've had that established that trust over 40 years. I know all the players. I know all the congressmen, all 6 of them. And our U.S. senators are part of that. And so I can walk in the door, they know who I am, and they know they're going to get the truth out of me no matter what.
Let me tell the audience who you are in case they missed it at the very beginning. This is Ron Aldridge, and you can call him up at 888-808-8637, or you can text him with questions or comments at 601-879-4395. That's 879-4395 is the text line. And, of course, you can watch us online, supertalk.fm/Mary. You can see what we look like and all that kind of stuff.
But one of the things, Mary, the airport's important, no doubt about it. But the key thing is to keep our eyes on the real priorities, and they stare us in the face every day.
Every day, I know.
Even though it is great, the new statistics that the Chief Wade brought out.
90%.
Of a 50% decrease compared to last year in homicides, but yet there are other categories that are still up. Armed robbery of businesses are up, just down on Ontario Road, and actually saw some young men who had gotten out of, one of which had gotten out of jail for actually armed robbery around the corner, and had shot somebody, and he's out on the street. So what's that? Because and I was talking to a neighbor. The neighbor that lives in that neighborhood with them knows them, and said, if you hadn't been standing here with me, I'd have run inside because I'm that fearful.
That's
of the situation.
Awful. That is awful.
And the people, as you go down that area, are fearful. It is
South Jackson. You know, way south.
Yes.
And in
as soon as you go below, even
Ward
before you go to below out, even right next to Jackson State, along University Boulevard to the east, to the downtown area. That area as well. When you have the people that live there tell you, you better be out of here, but when it starts getting dark, that's so wrong. It has been taken over by those particular
bangers,
elements,
I guess,
and the wrong type. And we've got to go in there and flip that area around. We've got to do the same in South Jackson. Is it a reason there are not businesses down Terry Road? You betcha there is, because we've allowed. And I'm ashamed individually as a citizen of Jackson. I'm ashamed for our city that we've allowed this to happen for years. You can go in there and find the meth labs that have burned up houses.
Oh, man.
And the residents will tell you that was a meth lab over there. That's the reason it's burned up. It's been that way for years.
That's terrible.
Burned up right across the street from them. That's what they have to look out every day. Now, if we were in Belhaven or Fondren, how many calls would there have been to the city?
Yeah, I don't know, but
I mean, we've got to.
It's people. It's people.
The old adage of rising tide. Mm-hmm. It raises all the boats, and it's time to raise all the boats in the city of Jackson.
Long ago, people have heard me say this. When I first moved here, I said to Bert Case, who I married, everybody knows that. I said, I see Jackson going by way of Detroit, and he said, oh no, that'll never happen. He grew up here.
Yeah.
He grew up at Northwest in Adel. He went to Davis Elementary, which is now Obama Elementary, and then to Bailey Middle and Murrah High School.
I was at Bailey. Murrah.
Absolutely. And he said, Jackson's it's a good little city. And I said, well, okay, good luck with that. So time went by, and we had to live in the city. I did for first 3 years.
Sure.
But I said, I'm not a city person, and I just don't. And there were a lot of famous people living on that street too. But it just wasn't comfortable for me. I'm a suburbanite, and I'm a water person, and so we moved to the reservoir.
Right.
And so time went by, and we were out there for a number of years. And of course, he would go in every day to go to WLBT and go do his work. But he wasn't on a real estate tour of Jackson. He was on a work tour, and he just really his eyes were focused on what he was doing. So a few years later, I asked him one Saturday if he would go down and get me something from a vacuum cleaner store on like Raymond Road or something like that.
Yes.
And he came back. Okay, this is like over 10 years later. And he came back and he said, you were right. I said, about what? He said, about Jackson going like Detroit. And he said, I drove around. I was astounded. And I said, well, I really feel sorry about that, but I'm glad we're here. And so, but here's the good news: Detroit, of all, and I haven't been to my birth city in years,
right?
But they say Detroit is coming back,
and
if Detroit can come back, so the heck can Jackson, Mississippi.
Well, and that's the thing about it. We hear all the negative about Jackson, but let me tell you, once I've been out here the last 3 years on the streets of Jackson, I have seen the positivity of the people who are rising up, no matter whether they've got government on their side or not, to say we're going to start making a difference in our own neighborhood.
Well, the cleaning up part, right?
Yes,
you're talking about I think it started with Locke Ward, the real estate agent who's
no doubt about it.
Like, hey, this isn't good. So he's got a thriving business.
Absolutely. I was just out with him the other day and fixing to help him get some funds to do some more downtown in the downtown area.
He's had a big fundraiser too.
Yes.
But people are doing that doing it in South Jackson.
They're doing it all over Jackson.
Which is wonderful.
We don't hear about it. We don't see it.
Yep.
But I get to go see it because I get all the flyers on all the people coming together doing that. Out at the old Jackson Zoo, there's a lady out there, Ms. Epps, is just single-handedly got groups of volunteers coming to clean up all around the zoo, then go out beyond the zoo, go wherever she sees a problem, she goes and cleans it up nearby, and she just keeps expanding that area. And that's happening around this city.
Good.
And they're waiting for the city to come alongside of them. It used to be on the dumpsters we'd have now we've got a dumpster, one place for the city when people want to bring things to it.
Oh.
And we used to have them all around the city.
One dumpster?
Yeah, one dumpster.
Oh.
You have to go one place.
Oh.
Well, they may have two dumpsters there. Who knows?
Where is it? Where is
I think
the
it was
dumpster?
over around Metro Center Mall is where they would put it.
Oh.
But they need to be all around this city, and we need to have bunches of them for the people to go put things in versus throw them on the street. I mean, I was just with the sweet couple down off Terry Road yesterday. They were telling me how people will come in there and they just visibly watch them dump right on their street because they see the burned out house, all this dilapidated house, or all this lot that's grown up, 10 or 15 feet in foliage and things. And they say, why not put it out here? Well, there's some people that are still trying to live there. So they're like prisoners in their own neighborhood is what they are.
That's bad.
And nobody's respecting their area at all.
That's bad. And that's part of Ward 7. You think of Ward 7 is the fashionable Bellhaven and Fondren, but it's a whole lot more than that.
Yes.
That's the good part, right? That's your best part, and then it goes on down, and it's very sad. It just sounds sad. What you're telling me about those people?
Oh, it is totally sad, and like I said, once you see it, you can't forget it. You can't forget it.
It doesn't have to be that way, does it?
No, it can't be that way. No. And we've got when you look.
This is making tears in my eyes.
When you hear the social media about Jackson. And trying to drive people away because I'm scared to go into Jackson. Well, I'm not. Lord's taking away all fear from me going anywhere in this city right now.
Good.
And that's what we've got to do. We've got to claim ownership back of this city.
Yes.
As the people of Jackson, to say it's not yours anymore. You bad elements. It's not yours. We're going to take it back. And when you go in there and you see all of these and you hear the stories of the people that have living through it, and you hear the fear and you hear what their stories are, even of some of the police, how they've got to be fearful of it because
that's terrible.
These young people, it doesn't matter. They'll just pull a gun on you.
Well, that's exactly right. I don't mean to interject.
No, please
what
do.
you just said is exactly what I've been told by officers through JPD, is that the youth just have a different mindset today. They really do, and you wonder where it comes from.
It comes from their parents.
But
what are the parents out doing? Drinking and drugging.
There's a lot quicker trigger, whether it be emotional or whether it be with a gun, than we've ever seen before.
Absolutely.
Well, they just figure anything that happens, I'll just solve it with a gun. A gun is not a problem solver.
Well, I said many years ago on some forum, I forget what it was, but anyway, it was about even these video games. And I said, one of the things that's going to occur out of those video games is they play these wars and killings and everything. They're going to lose sight of who a human being is. And they're just going to think, this is just another video game for me.
A video game, really.
The value of life.
The value of life has been taken away from people.
And people, like I say, people will blame parents. Well, where are the kids' parents? Well, their parents, if they're out drinking and drugging, what can you expect?
Yes.
And I know that everybody seems to have all community things at churches and whatever. You got to get the bad guys. You got to get the bangers and the bangers' parents. The people who are doing good, they'll come to these things. That's right. But it doesn't transfer. I'm sorry to say. Obviously, it doesn't transfer.
Well, my dad told me when I was a kid, when I was trying to be the best at anything I wanted to be, especially sports or learning, said, son, you got to practice right, because if you practice the wrong way, it takes 10 times the effort to correct the ill that you created to get it right. And that's what we're dealing with right here.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of love, a lot of care, a lot of people like Mr. Aldridge here that really see a vision and then all come together and lift that heavy weight together, because it ain't going to be light.
Exactly right. And that's what we've got to have. Government's not going to solve this.
No.
It's going to be the people helping rise up.
It's got to come from the heart and the head. Can't.
And that's the reason in this Bridging the Gap ministry, one of the things I've always said, we've got to get out of our four walls and go to the four corners of every block, every street, every neighborhood. And we make the changes that have got to be made for people's lives to make this city right.
Let's make a break here. We got to do that. Got to make some money for the company. And we'll be back with Ron Aldridge, running as an independent for Ward 7 Alderman. Stay with us. A little food nostalgia.
You're coming with the new earphones, just in case anybody's watching.
Yeah, these are new earphones, and thank you very much for these, lending me these earphones like that. I do have to go get something that really pushes it way in, like they say, don't push it in your ear.
Well, you can have those until...
Like, I can buy something, though, to make them hear me better. Here, I can work it.
Yeah, those are
cheap.
Them. Those are the cheapies. Those are gas station... from the gas station bazaar. So I say, hey, are those any good? Very good, very good. Those are the best. So you just, that's how it works.
The gas station, you can buy anything.
Those are my buddies. Yeah, I got into a great conversation with my Indian friends about Pakistan and India a couple days ago, and it was so fun. He's teaching. They teach me a lot about cricket, honestly. The sport, not the insect. But I had a wonderful conversation with those guys, and it's really fun to learn from people who, or from that area.
Actually
know. And I said, what about the lines? It's the lines. The lines. Talking about the English, the way they drew the lines.
Oh, okay.
And that's, it's a big deal. So it's kind of like what we're talking about here in Jackson. You got to kind of get out your walls and get rid of the lines and just fix it all and make it right.
Well, I use this. This is a god-awful thing to say. It's a terrible way to put it. I feel this way about national government, what the administration has to do. And then I feel the way about Jackson, and it is if I'm using the stadium as my place to locate all this. It is if over the course of time, what has been deposited on the floor, it's a couple layers of elephant droppings that have to be cleaned up by person. You can't just take a bulldozer, and it's timely because it's a mess. National government is, thank God for the Doji stuff, but and people, by the way, they don't understand that Doge does not get rid of Social Security. So they just get rid of people who are 130 years old. You don't belong on Social Security. You belong 6 feet under it. But anyway, it's such a mess to clean up. But
there's so much positive happening.
Well, yes. I went down a few years ago to downtown in West Capitol Street. There were some people doing some developing, and they're saying, well, we've got waiting lists for people who want to live in downtown Jackson. Is it still that way? And, that's in your district too.
It has been. That's the reason
district.
You've seen several investors just recently come in and bought up some of the buildings down there, the huge Regions building and a couple more, and they're going to turn some of them into places to live. But you've got to remember, in addition to places to live, they've got to have some other type of amenities down there for them in order to, because we just lost our grocery store over in Belhaven. Well, that was the local grocery store for all of downtown.
That's a shock.
And all that.
It's the number was it?
I've got confidence in Mike Peters. It has that.
What's the
facilities?
What was the jitney number?
He's going to take care of Jitney 14.
No, the 14.
Miss Eudora's Jitney 14.
Yes. My case bagged Miss Eudora's groceries.
Absolutely.
How about that?
I shopped there since I was 10 years of age.
Did you bag groceries at the 14?
No, I didn't get to bag groceries there, but I sure shopped there from age 10
You never had a good job when you were a kid.
That's it. Well, I had some other jobs. I just wanted
just
as
not
a
one
bagger.
of those glamour jobs, right? That was a glamorous
for
job.
Sure.
But that's in your 7th ward also.
It is.
But downtown, so is the 400 block, is that doing well, or is all of it doing well?
Well,
or what?
I think part of it is doing well. Some of the things I'm concerned about is the outpouring of some of the bar areas that have come in place and what they've been allowed to do beyond just a normal bar area out into the streets. And that's part of what happened I think has happened on several occasions here in the city. It's gotten out of hand. I know out in North Fondren there have been numerous social media statements about a couple of bars, a bar or two out there that just stays rowdy into the middle of the night. And it's right up next to the neighbors in North Fondren, and so they can't get any sleep because it's outside. I mean, they aren't doing it inside the building, and plus the noise level is so great that they can't get any rest at night.
Well, then the owners of the businesses that from which they ought to do something about that.
Well, and the city needs to hold them accountable because we've got ordinances on the books, and that's one of the things, at least as a city councilman, you got the budget and you got the ordinances that you get to deal with, and so we've got to make sure our ordinances are enforceable and enforced.
Yeah, absolutely. But yet, on the other hand, you got to give people something to do. I mean, that's just not the 7th ward. That's all of Mississippi. You got to have people. People have to have a reason to come here.
I agree.
They need a reason to come to town. And
I'm not for undoing them, but we need to live within certain reasonable standards for the whole community and not just for themselves. And that's what we've got to do.
Who said? Maybe Lance, you remember? Somebody said there's no reason why Jackson couldn't be another Nashville. I mean, why couldn't we be? Why not? There's the whole downtown.
We've got to finally start with the first block on Ferris Street and start making it what it was intended to be years ago.
I've heard nothing but Ferry Street all my life in Mississippi, and it never happens.
We have, but
little bits every now and then. Either knock it down, knock down those storefronts, or do something. I mean, you can't just leave it.
And we've got some other great creative groups that are looking at various things.
That's in your district too. That's in 7th Ward.
Yes, we know the Lakes Project is another thing.
Yes.
We know the Museum Trail is an unbelievable new addition over there that has people have the vision to actually tie that in all the way around the city, so that you then create a whole venue around each of the trail.
Well, the whole lake thing to me is it's our version of what the one in San Antonio.
Well, it just looks horrible. I'm saying this as nicely as I can, and I grew up here. I was born in Jackson, spent my first 4 years 5 houses down across the street from Wingfield. But so when we moved out to the reservoir, you started seeing more of the Pearl because we crossed it a lot more. Go back here.
Sure did.
What a nasty, ugly eyesore. As much as we've invested as a state and city into the stack and all of that and making it functional, what we have there is a mess.
It is.
And everybody can see it is coming through. You got power lines going everywhere and junk.
That island sitting out there with junk on it. There's
clean that mess up.
That.
I know it would take a lot, but I mean, honestly, if you want Jackson to be an attraction, it has to have some semblance of visually pleasing things.
Yes.
The roads need to be where you don't have to swerve like you're going downhill slalom to avoid stuff. And crime. Those are the 3 things I think that are the biggest. Crime, roads, and you got to attract people with some aesthetics. And Jackson has good bones.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Hey, we're on a volcano. That is true, people. If you don't know that. What? Mary, what? Yes. Jackson sits atop a volcano.
Yes.
But maybe that could explain why we have Yazoo Clayton.
Well, and that's one of the reasons I think we are fixing to explode as a city. I really believe it in my heart, because I've gotten to see the people. I've gotten to meet with the people of Jackson.
Are they crying out? They
are
just crying
They're
out
just
for
saying,
please.
Just come alongside and support us. What we see in our own neighborhoods, or what we desire in our own neighborhoods, and it's the same way. It's the same picture of what has been very prosperous up in Fondren or Belhaven and all those areas. The people within those areas are the ones that came forward and said, we're going to put together the plan.
The One Lake thing, that would be like a river walk. That's what I'm looking for. That could be like a river walk. It would be wonderful. Do you work with those people? Do you work with the
I've talked
attorney
to
and all?
several of them, yes.
Yeah.
I go way back with Dick Hall and all them in the legislature when we were talking Chaco Dam.
Oh, I remember Chaco Dam.
All of that.
I remember that. You remember that one, Lance?
Yeah.
Lance must
so I've seen all that in Stockett Stables when it was down there.
You remember, the flood of '79, Jackson has never recovered from the flood. They never have. Things just, whether there wasn't the money available or what. But if we look at the population shift from Jackson, it started in basically 1980, and it's been slowly and steadily going out to the suburbs. And you can't blame all of that on just leadership. Sometimes things get runt, for lack of a better word, and they don't get fixed. And that's a lot
what
of
happens.
We see that. And that is the fact. That doesn't mean Jackson's managed its resources perfectly, but there was a major event that caused a lot of the problems that we're still dealing with today.
And we as a city have gone down in population since the early 1980s. We've continuously come down, and we've lost a tremendous percentage since then.
That's where I come in. That's where I come in and go out.
We were to have about 202,000. The last census, I think we was down to about 150, and we've probably gone below that here the last year or two. But you go back to that event of the '79 flood. I remember we as a city then rose up as a volunteer base, just like we do in Mississippi after every rise event, and that's fixing to happen in this city. It's happening in this city right now because of where we are. And I remember even the what was then Mississippi Power and Light, when energy, the big plant, all the electric grid downtown there was going to be flooded, and so you'd have had the whole electricity go out. And people from every sector were down there putting sandbags around it. And right next to me was
down on Jefferson Street?
Yes. Right next to me was the president of what was then Deposit Guarantee National Bank.
Yep.
Filling sandbags and putting it up. And
they used to call him Scooter. His nickname was Scooter McMillan. Scooter McMillan.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great friend of mine. But that's the kind of thing. We came together, and that's what we're doing right now. And we're doing it in Fondren. I give you a positive example of a thing. Section 8 HUD apartment complex in Fondren. We were having problems there out of the bunch of the kids that lived there in the business area, which was my responsibility as board chair. And we asked for law enforcement to help us because they were committing crimes there. It even went into the Homewood Suites up there and did some things. Well, that law enforcement didn't work. So what did we do? We got a group from this Bridging the Gap group and of churches and others in the neighborhood that went in there and have cared about them. And matter of fact, we've got another for the last 2 years, and now got an event this Saturday. We're building relations with them. Ever since we've been there, there's been not one incident from those kids out of that apartment complex in our Fondren neighborhood.
By the way,
that's the kind of change that can happen in Jackson.
Jackson rising. That should be the city that's rising.
Right.
You do that. Here, I want to pass along this comment from somebody who lives in Clinton. Thank you all for speaking the truth about Jackson. Yeah. It's got to end.
Well, you've got to start with the truth.
You can do it.
You can always start with the truth.
Yes.
And my whole life word is the word trust. And trust, the first T is for truth. If you don't start with the truth, you're not going to get anywhere. The next thing is about relationships, and that's what we've got to do all across this city, is not have any pocket parts of forgotten areas. There's got to be a relationship across the whole area, as well as on the council. We've got to build up a united council.
And I think it has to be, it's multiracial. I mean, we're not going to be blacks and whites and Indians and Arabs.
And it's not Democrat or Republican or whatever either. That's one of the reasons I'm running as an independent, because I'm proclaiming that we've got to come together like never before.
City. Yes, and you can do it.
One of my favorite people in the world, a great mentor of mine, his name was Pat Patterson. He was the mayor of Oxford, Mississippi for a long time.
I remember Pat.
I love sitting down with Pat. He would always tell me, Lance, my job is not to be political. My job is to take care of the people of this city. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or an independent. None of that matters when you're the mayor of a town.
Yes.
What matters is the people.
Yep.
Exactly.
And I think we need to, that kind of advice could be well taken, everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, when you have community things at churches, why don't the white churches, so-called white churches, and these other things do it because it's everybody.
Yes.
Jackson's a small enough town where you can, of course, the Detroits of this world. I don't know. Like I say, I don't live there anymore. I don't go there. If they're doing it, then Jackson is a small. You could really shine. You could really shine. If
get ready, Mississippi.
Well, if
We're
people
ready.
will just, got one more segment coming up. Get off of their duffs and decide. Well, it does affect me. I live on such and such a street. This affects all these people. Get off your duffs and do something. We'll come back for our final break. Thank you. Oh, well, yes, here we go. Back to Mary Wieden You. This is our final segment with Ron Aldridge, independent, running for 7th Ward, Jackson City Council. And what a diverse ward. It has the airport. It's got downtown. It's got Bellhaven and Fondren, which, you hear a lot about them. But they don't hear a lot about the South Jackson parts, which are really become a real tragedy. That's a terrible thing. But you say that there is life. I mean, there are places you can't go, which is awful. That's terrible. Everybody should be able to go to every place they want to in this country. You should be able to go to any dang neighborhood you want to. It doesn't matter your color or what you're driving or stuff like that. It doesn't make any difference. It shouldn't. And we have that in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, and I've watched a couple of YouTube videos lately about, they say, the worst city in the world. And there's this one guy, and he goes around to all these different countries and goes into the worst place you can go. And there are places in Jackson, honestly, and I've been in the cop cars, that rival that. And that's sad because there are places in Jackson that look nothing like that. And there's such a polarization there that you look at it going, wow, how did it get this way?
Yes.
How did we go that far?
And that's why I tell most everybody, please take the tour. Take the tour. You get a group of you or whatever it takes.
That's why I do it.
And you go take the tour, and you will see that we've got to
So you've
pull
got
the
Eastover.
city
You've got Eastover.
No, I don't go that far. I got leftover. What they call leftover.
Well, that's okay. That ain't too shabby.
It's just called Loho.
That's
where
a beautiful
the district
area.
is, and then goes over to Ridgewood Road.
Yeah.
And they've done great. Formed a homeowners
and you have that, and then you got what's going on in South Jackson, where places they say you can't go. That's awful.
Yes.
That is awful that you can't go.
And your heart bleeds when you go to.
Yes.
I mean, it does.
And it does not have to be that way.
You don't come back the same person. But one of the things is I see this social media that's always posting about fearing, because we get attacked in Fondren even. This is not safe or whatever, and it is safe. We've got more security up around Fondren than most anywhere right now. And that story, what I'm speaking to is what you were speaking to a while ago, of how it affects everybody.
Yes.
Because all of those posts are not just affecting Jackson. They're affecting the whole metro area. They're affecting all of Mississippi, because those go out on the airwaves or wherever, and that's the picture image we've got of Mississippi. This is our capital city, and we have got to pull together as a state and like never before to build it back up so that we won't have those kind of posts, that we can all be proud of it. Because can you imagine, there's not a school across this state that doesn't come down here on school buses and go to look at the museums we have.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You start downtown at the Museum of Art, and you just keep coming out to the two museums right around the corner downtown, the old Capitol, new Capitol, new Capitol is one of the most beautiful capitals, but the two museums, first class.
The new Capitol, by the way, I love it. When the new Capitol was built, right, Lance?
Yeah.
I don't remember the date.
Well,
it's a replica of the main Capitol.
My grandmother was there on that day.
1903.
I've got the official invitation.
Right?
It's amazing. Well, you were mentioning the arts, and I actually worked in the arts in Jackson for a while with an entity called the Mississippi Commission for International Cultural Exchange.
Were you involved in those?
I was their director of sales, marketing, and finance. Thank you. And we were able to get hundreds of thousands of people to come to Jackson to a jail cell to see art that we had brought in from places that most of us will never get a chance to go. And were rated extremely high. And I mean, you have the King and Queen of Spain that came to Jackson. I got to stand right next to them, hang out with the Spanish Secret Service. We miss that. That is culture.
Yes.
And those are things that I would challenge the leaders of this city to. Let's look back into some of these things.
Why can't we do that?
There's no doubt about it.
For God's sakes, you got Thalia Mara, for God's sakes, is a wreck.
Mrs. Fordyce had those several groups of countries bringing the things over here all the time, and the group of leaders that were here in Jackson, business leaders, and I go back to that. Because
I was like Billy Munger, Bud Robinson, Pat Fordyce, so on and so forth. Yeah, these folks were amazing.
Warren Ludlam, attorney, and different ones. They put together all these things. They put together the International Ballet deal that came to Mississippi, and one of only 3 places in the world.
And it comes here.
But yet, we got to get there tomorrow open quickly. Let's go. Let's do it. We've got a folk festival coming in November. We've got to get to work. And it's going to be here for 3 years. It'll bring people from all over the world coming here.
Well,
We've got to get to work.
All these things can be done.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's look at it this way. It's the people that tore it down.
Right.
The Banger people tore it down. Well, there's some other people who can build it up.
Build it back up.
Jackson can rise.
And we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We've got to do it to bring back that. We've got to show those people all across this world what great areas we have. But you go down that museum trail, then you come to the Children's Museum. Talking about first class. Look at what they've done over there.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah. Then you go to the next museum, the Natural Science Museum right behind it. You go to the LaFleur's area.
There's no way they can ever put the zoo over there
State
now.
Park.
Is that right?
I don't know.
I don't know. Because I always say, why not put it there? First of all, Northeast Jackson is not Lily White Northeast Jackson, number one. Number two, up and down I-55. Mommy, there's a zoo. Let's go to the zoo. Because if you don't know there's a zoo, here.
And a great illustration of how it can rise. You know where the Ag Museum is?
Yep.
And the Sports Hall of Fame?
We always called it we called it Jim Buck World.
Well, you know what that was before that?
Before Jim Buck?
A landfill.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. When I grew up here, it was a landfill.
I'll be darned. Well, it was out in the boonies.
Up under there. So you got great compost up under there.
There you go.
And for the Ag Museum and all.
What's funny is, too, where St. Dominic's is, that was land that was given to the nuns long ago by the legislature. Oh, put them out in the country. Okay, so what is the country? Lakeland and I-55.
Exactly.
But anyway.
Exactly.
It can be done, folks, if you all
will. It will be done.
I don't know. I'm not endorsing anybody, and I don't have a horse in that race. I don't live in the city, but whoever you decide on for these positions, you all have got to do something positive for your
think
city.
about Boeing. It's taken them 40 years, and they can't build an airplane.
They have really gone down the tubes.
We've had about 40 years of Jackson, and we need some love. We need focus. We need people to get on that task and leadership and get the job done. Like he's saying, it's time to pull together with a vision.
Yes, vision and leadership. That's all you need.
And we got to be thankful for the young Ronnie Crudups of this city right now, because in the legislature, what he's done over there around where his father's church is over there, but took the old Sam's building and has created this place called the Ark, which is a state-of-the-art sports training facility in every sport. And he's got the kids of all the neighborhoods over there.
That's coming there. Raymond and Ellis?
It's Raymond and Ellis Road right over there, and you got to go see it. I mean, it's phenomenal what we have here in Jackson, and he is looking how that we can continue to do that. We've got to have those areas all over the city so that we can pull those young people away right after they're getting out of elementary school and into these better peer group areas. We've got to do that for them and for the sake of this city's future.
Well, it all can be done.
Yes.
And it doesn't take you don't have to have a lot of money. I mean, money helps, but you don't have to have.
I think workforce training is a big one as well. You got so many opportunities in this state now with Build Mississippi and all the things are going with certificate-based type of jobs. You can get out of high school making $80,000 out of the moment you're out. So, I mean, when you put that in front of people that have a choice to make, and they have the skills to actually go get that job, maybe they make a different decision. But I do believe we got to start earlier. We need to get them at 3rd and 4th and 5th grade.
My dear friend Robert Clark, first black legislator, went to his funeral, and he and I were served on the State Workforce Investment Board together under 2 governors. And we teamed up at most every meeting and said, we have got to bring workforce training down to the middle school area.
And I just saw a report on the news, NBC Nightly News last night, that more and more high schools around the country are doing shop classes. You never hear shop classes anymore.
Going back to what we used to do.
Doing shop classes because there's such a need for these trades that we don't have anymore. Try to get something done. No, I don't know how to do it.
Shop and home ec of the past, what we used to do, mainly is good things.
And those were on site too, Mr. Aldridge. Right now we're busing people all over. We need to put this stuff back in the schools.
And no doubt about it. Another thing of the past that Jackson did right, we had the Jackson Chamber of Commerce years ago, and they were those same leaders we talked about earlier. They would meet together, come up with the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, the 20-year plan, or whatever for the city of Jackson. they would all agree to it, said, this is how we're going to get behind this. We had all the banks, we had all the other people together. And then they would go see the mayor and the city council and said, we've got a package deal here for you, and we're ready to back it. And the mayor and them would say, we'll back it if y'all are ready to back it. And it went forward, and it happened. We've got to bring that same business mentality back, because the city council is not the place where you're going to get all necessarily the greatest ideas and ways to put things together. You've got to have the people out there that are talking to the investors, that know exactly what they're looking for, and will pull that team together, just like we do for economic development for the state. We can do the same again in Jackson.
Well, I think it'll happen if they believe that there's a good reason to invest their money in the town, the city.
And they will. I guarantee you.
Wow. Wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
You know, I mean,
because this is a city with great opportunity.
Exactly.
For the future.
It's sitting here. It's you know, I think it's a diamond in the rough, but the rough's taken over. You know, you need to get the rough out of the diamond.
It is just like one couple did to Laurel, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah, those people.
Just like the Lock Wards of the world.
Yes.
It's those one or two
and that woman you're talking
that
about
make a difference.
Down in
Ms.
South,
Epps,
Ms. Epps
over there in West Jackson, and others.
It can be done.
It can be done. It will be done.
Well, go forth, Ron Aldridge, and campaign for your position. Your opposition is coming on the program this Friday, and we've had lots of people, and we all feel the same way. Like, come on, Jackson, you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? All right, everybody, have a good one. Thank you. See you Friday.
Thank you.